आदाय कृष्ण कृष्णाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी चारिणि शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देवतारिणि जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा. Today, Balam Shikpur is traveling, so we'll not have Krishna Chakra Thakur's commentary. Today we'll just discuss Prabhupada purport session. We'll be discussing Prabhupada purport. So there is some thoughts I thought we'll share. And if a person just listens, it binds him a little bit. The secret of spiritual life is to make a commitment to ourselves. One of the main form of spiritual development of our movement is kirtan. So kirtan is what happens is if a person takes responsibility. Kirtan means I am starting to talk about Krishna, singing about Krishna starting, and I am starting to explain something that I understood about myself. And what happens is something very important happens. I start accepting responsibility, and this responsibility help a person to grow. That's why Prabhupada wanted from the beginning preaching, because when a person speaks, he is also taking the responsibility of what he is speaking. So if I am saying that we should serve Krishna, we should become devotee of Krishna, then I am responsible for it. I also want to do it because I am speaking. So we have to ask certain questions, and like Bhagavad Gita is the greatest spiritual book. For thousands of years, people have found solace in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, and especially Bhagavad Gita, which is very famous and it is read and repeated all over the world. And the first question is, who am I? It is the first question. Krishna says to Arjuna, look, behold. Of course, before telling you are the body, he says, look at the army of Kurukshetra. Why? Because first thing, person is always looking outside and he's looking at false identities. And then look, Krishna tells, look inside your heart. Now, who am I? This is actually a very important question. Who am I currently thinking at the moment? So I'm thinking. So who is the person? Who is that who is thinking? That means the soul is doing all these activities. Now we see there are a huge number of attachments. There is so much false ego, and in Sanskrit, which is called ahankara. It has infinite number of attachments. If we ask a person who is, he will give many different answers. But all these answers are related to this temporary body only and the attachment which he has. Attachment that binds and which determines our position in this world. Our false identity is totality of our environment, and it is not independent of this environment. I am affected by this environment. Now I am in Hyderabad, so it is hot here and city and pollution and then water, so many things are there. And then we also have other identities. I am husband, I am wife, I am child, I am this, that. And I am the citizen of the country. And something happens to any of these things, then we have crisis. Crisis in our life is when our identity is in problem. Like say a person is identifying with this father or mother or child or husband, anything happens to any of these personalities, he will be affected. Why? Because we are used to identify ourselves with the environment. Not only people, if things happen, say somebody's house burnt, it got accident, some earthquake or something. I am not wishing any of these things, but this is what in general. But because we identify, say somebody loses his mobile or something, and what happens is we are affected by it. This is how I define my environment. If something happens to the environment, the sooner or later something, and it is definitely going to happen. But then the person is in crisis. He is to consider himself as the husband of certain wife, and the woman is dying. What will happen to him? His life is staggering because I am no longer a husband. That's what is the problem for him. I am no longer a husband of this woman. That's actually what is affecting him because he identified with that. Now, when he is losing that personality, he's not able to handle. Oh, I am no more a husband because this woman is not there. Previously, this woman was there. That's why I was husband. And then, who am I? This is actually the first answer Bhagavad Gita gives. And this is Bhagavatam, it is explains you are servant and it continues from there. They are eternal soul. They have always been soul and will always remain a soul. And soul is unchanged. This is some very basic lessons. Everything that changes cannot be us. And we can feel that inside that I am not changing. I am unchanged. And like people look at their passport, they say, oh, now I am 40 years old, 50 years old, 60 years old. They cannot believe, oh, how I can be so old. We cannot believe because it is not, the soul refuses to believe in change. And Krishna actually tried to explain the characteristics of our consciousness. Consciousness is unchanging by virtue of its eternity. The fact that we are eternal is reflected in our psychology. So all kinds of psychological crises that a person experiences during his life and the psychologist are trying to unreveal are a reflection or proof of this because he's eternal and any changes is having effect on the psychology. Now the body is aging and person does not know what to do in this change of personality. When a teenager is one of the worst crisis in person's life. When a boy turns into teenager, the boy has changes and they need to adapt to these changes. Why it is so difficult to adapt to these changes? Because the soul does not understand where these changes come from. And therefore, the most important instruction Krishna gives is first see yourselves, first see your false ego, and then see your true ego. Until I find myself true, unchanging, eternal, until I find this unchanging core of myself, then we'll will not be able to live properly in this world. I cannot act correctly in this world because I act on the basis of false identity, false ideas, right? And generally, there are two important questions in people's life: what to do and whom to blame. First question is what to do because they don't have proper identity because they if they know, then we know what to do. The identity is not clear, then we'll not know what to do. And whom to blame? If things does not go our way, then we start blaming because of this, because of this. Everything else naturally follows. If we know who we are, then we know what to do. Right? If we are a devotee, then what to do? Just wake up in the morning, chant Hare Krishna, attend Bhagavatam, do Aarti, take it shower. Very simple. Attend some class and speak something about Krishna because we identify, we have an identity. That's why any company person joins, immediately is given a designation. You are a senior manager, you are executive, you are this, you are that. As soon as the designation is given, the person knows what to act. Say, person joined a company and then he's not given any designation. It becomes very difficult for him. Yes, okay. Tell me what. If you give him, then he know what to do. That is the main thing. So now the identity is wrong, the activities are wrong. Why people are doing so many nonsense? Because they don't know what they are. They're just identifying. And a person makes a huge number of mistakes in this life because he does not understand this main thing. And after a long time, person is tormented, he laments, repents that he made these mistakes. But basically, he could not help but commit mistakes because original premises is only wrong. He does not, the most important question that a person need to answer, because we encounter problems as a result of our own mistakes, right? We make mistakes because we don't understand who really we are. But the natural psychology of man makes him seek quick solutions to all problems that he created himself, and he's trying to find the solutions to the problem that he created, and without changing the fundamental concept. What is that requirement? He's not making a change in that, but still he's trying to solve the problems. It won't work like that. And we hear the famous statement of Albert Einstein. He said that the biggest fallacy of humanity is to try to solve the problems created by their own mind with the help of the same mind. Created problem of the mind. So at that level, we created a problem. With the same level, we cannot solve with the help of the mind which they created. So we need to raise above to solve it. And like say we created the problem of pollution, traffic, this, that. We cannot solve it. We are trying to solve. Dukkha aushadam tadapi dukkham ataddiya. We are just entangling ourselves. So with the help of same mind, we solve it. It don't work. People try to solve problem with some tool that created. And now what solution Krishna gives in Bhagavad Gita is quite interesting. If I have encountered a problem in life, and who in your life has encountered, then I must reconsider the most fundamental postulate. That is, the problem that I created, it is rooted in very fundamental premises inside my heart and inside my mind. That is what? That is the wrong understanding. So to find a quick solution to the problem, it's actually the mistake. That is another mistake, because people don't like long decisions, difficult decisions. They generally prefer the path with least resistance, right? The path of least resistance tell him that now quickly the problem is solved. It is the problem here, and we can solve it. What happens is people see in a superficial level all the problems and try to solve the problem, but the its consequences is not going to work much. So, but a person, like there are side effects, right? A person is supposed to take some medicines, he takes allopathy. He should just take whatever is needed. Sometimes they wanted to have solve it very fast. They try to take more and get some side effects. The main thing is that we solve the problem, and in all areas of life, people do just follow the path of least resistance, right? So when something happens to a person, a rational person, deep person, he he try to reconsider everything. But very few people have the courage to do it. And this is actually the Vedic method, right? Now, the important thing is any problem is a call addressed to us so that we understand who I am really, who really I am. And until we understand it, we'll face the same problems and we will step on the same wreck. Again and again, we are in the same situations unless we come to this. And the also, even Ayurveda medicine cannot solve all the problems because Ayurveda medicine is just a logical continuation of our original premises. The phenomena that like we are having become disillusioned with the material solutions to the problems. We even Krishna consciousness also people they try to take for material solutions, looking for some subtle solutions to the problems. And but more important is we should go more deeper and try to understand with our identity. So it affects actually our health very properly if we are taking. So to we should solve more environmentally friendly and subtle ways to solve the problems. And Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita, he says that of all the science, the, he says of all forms of science, uh, uh, of all forms of knowledge that should make a person more adapt to life. That is the science of Adhyatma Vidya, right? The science of the spiritual science. This is actually the most important. And Krishna says, I am the spiritual science. I am the science that should help a person understand the nature of soul. And until I take advantage of this science, all other sciences will just be it's polluting one, including any sciences which we are we studied in the school and college. So that means in the end, a person must restore his spiritual science, and spiritual science will help solve all problems. That is a very important thing. It is not a, it's actually, this is by chanting Hare Krishna and spiritual says everything is because all problems are because what we discussed is because of incorrect identification of our body. We say, we understand I am not the body. In order to understand this, I am spirit, aham brahmasmi, I am the Brahman, one life. Of course, it's not so easy to get that realization, and many people take many lifetimes to get this realization also. We need to think, reflect, and look. So many people do go to Himalayas and do tapasya just to get this understanding. When we understand this, he will be the happiest. Brahmabhuta prasannatma asocati na kamshati samasarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktim labate param. He will learn to live correctly. He will see the world, he will see this whole world as it is. He'll be able to feel and understand the subtlest moments of the soul of another person also. He'll be able to show real compassion, true love, and all the genuine qualities that are needed. And this is actually what happens. And we can see some of the great Vaishnavas. And now also there are some living examples of such qualities. They live in this way. So we will just read this purpose. Prabhupada has some nice things to share. Etat kshattar bhagavato daiva karmatmana rupinah tasraddhaya upakritam yoga maya balo odhayam. This is O Vidura. We can estimate or measure who can estimate or measure the transcendental time, birth, and potency of the gigantic form manifested by the internal potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is very important to know, to know about ourselves is one part, and to know about Lord is also another important thing. Why? By knowing about ourselves, we can understand how we are entangled in this material world. We can get liberation. But by knowing about Lord, we can get devotion, which will help us to go to spiritual world. One is we just get out of this material world. But to enter into spiritual world, we need devotion. So the part, uh, like the first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, they tell how a living entity is entangled, how he can be out. But after that 6 chapters, they tells about the Lord, which will help us to develop vision. So this part is also same. When we are hearing about the Lord, we feel. That means we stop thinking about ourselves and start thinking about Lord. This is actually what makes a living entity purified, and it is going to help him to develop that love. And this is actually perfection. Most of the time, we think about ourselves only, except for when we are hearing about class about Krishna. That time we are thinking of Krishna. And more we think Smartavya Satatam Vishnu, Vismartavya Najatachit. Sarva Vidhi Nishidashu, Etayaragita. So this is the benefit of thinking about Krishna all the time. Here it is said, who can estimate or measure the transcendental time, where potency, and even Brahmaji also explains they're very Pareha Bhuman Bhagavat, Pareha Bhuman Bhagavat Yogina. So he says that, oh, nobody can understand. And even if somebody can count all the molecules, all the stars, all the sand particles, but still they cannot estimate the qualities and all these things. And here also, Arjuna also says, froggish philosophers may go on with their mental speculation on the subject matter of Virata, the gigantic form exhibited by the Yogamaya internal potency of the Supreme Personality. But actually, no one can measure such a vast exhibition. Bhagavad Gita Arjuna recognized devotee of Lord says, Aneka Bahu Daravaktra Netram Pashyami Va Tvam Sarvato Nantarupam Nantam Namadhyam Napuna Purnastavadim Pashyami Vishweshwara Vishwarupam. It says that, O Lord, O gigantic Virat form, a master of the universe, I see innumerable arms, bellies, mouth, eyes in all directions, and they are unlimited. I cannot find the end of this manifestation, nor do I see the middle nor the beginning. So this is the vision of demigods. Demigod also get this vision of Virat Rupa. They are able to see the hand, legs, everything of the Lord everywhere. It is functioning. And Bhagavad Gita was specifically spoken to Arjuna, and the Vishwarupa was exhibited before him at his request. He was awarded the specific eyes to see this Virat Rupa. Yet, although he is able to see the Lord's innumerable arms, mouth, he is unable to see him completely. And this is actually what Rupa says, one may only indulge in miscalculation like the frog philosophers. The frog philosophers want to estimate the length and breadth of the Pacific Ocean according to his experience of his 3 foot wide well, and thus he began to puff of himself up to becoming as big as Pacific Ocean, but at last he burst and died by this process. This story is applicable to the mental philosophers who, under the illusion of Lord's external energy, indulge in estimating the length and breadth of the Supreme. The best path is to become the cool-headed, submissive devotee of the Lord. Try to hear about the Lord from the bona fide spiritual master and thus serve the Lord in transcendental loving service, as suggested in the previous verse. Now, the point here is we see according the world according to the experience we already got. Say for me, if I go to city, if I am in the city, I feel, oh, this is safe place. That is the programming a person has. Somebody goes to a village, he feels, oh, this is the best place. A person is programmed differently. He goes to a village, he feels, oh, I cannot stay here. Because he sees the world in a different way. He says, how can somebody be here? There is no action here. It's all cool. It cannot work for him. That means that is, we see there are filters through which we see. That is, it's so difficult. That's the reason we need Shastra. We have to see Shastras through Shastra, Shastra Chakshu. Then we can see. Everybody is programmed only. Like there is fighting between wife and husband. Now, who is right, who is wrong? Both are right only. Why? Because both are programmed in certain way and they see things in a certain way. One fellow feels you are wasting money for these things. Somebody says, no, it is reasonable. We should spend for it. So there is always a fight because they are seeing things in a different way. It is never possible to, what is it? See in different way. That is the only way they see and they feel that is 100% right. Now, scientists are also programmed. Na? They also see the world and they also think this is the way. And everybody, then the scientists, they argue, yes, whatever I am telling, I may be wrong, but 100% you are wrong. So they don't agree with other scientists. This is the problem. We have to, when Arjuna was lamenting, he was giving proper reasons. Then Krishna told Arjuna, wait a minute, don't see the way the world you are seeing now. I will show you how to see. In that way you see. And as soon as Arjuna started seeing the way Krishna is showing, he immediately came out of the lamentation. So simple. For us also same thing. If we see the world according to the way Bhagavatam is showing, according to the way Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam are showing, we can immediately come out of lamentation. Lamentation is because of wrong identification. Tatapi kirtaya manga yata mati yata srutam kirtim hare swam sattatum giram anyabhidasatam. Very famous shloka. In spite of my inability, whatever I have been able to hear from the spiritual master and whatever I could estimate, I am now describing in glorification of the Lord by pure speech. For otherwise, my power of speaking will remain unchaste. This is very important. Tatapi kirtaya manga yata mati yata shrutam kirtim hare swam satkartum kirimnyabhita satam. Satam is chaste, unchaste. Asatam is unchaste. If I don't glorify Krishna, then the ability to speak, otherwise my power of speaking would remain unchaste. Very nice purpose. Purpose is the purification of the conditioned souls necessitate purification of his consciousness. What is purification means? Purification of consciousness. By the presence of consciousness, the presence of the transcendental soul is verified. And as soon as the consciousness leaves the body, the material body is not active. Consciousness is perceived, therefore, by activities. The theory put forward by empirical philosophers that the consciousness can remain in an inactive state is the proof of their poor fund of knowledge. One should not become unchaste by stopping the activities of pure consciousness. If the activity of pure consciousness stops, certainly the conscious living force will be otherwise engaged, becomes useless, engaged, the consciousness has not. Unless engaged, the consciousness has no standing. So what they say is the soul can remain inactive, but we say no. Inactive in Brahman, they will be inactive, but that is not actually its original. Consciousness cannot be silent, even for a moment. When the body does not act, the consciousness acts in the form of dreams. Unconsciousness is artificial. By induced extraneous help, it remains for a limited period. But when the intoxication of drug is finished, or when one is awake, the consciousness again acts earnestly. This is another understanding we should have, that here the ability, all these things are coming because there is consciousness, which scientists cannot understand so easily. We are able to perceive some things, and all these things is because of consciousness. So Maitreya's statement is that in order to avoid unchaste conscious activity, he was trying to describe the unlimited glories of Lord despite not having ability to describe them perfectly. So even we are imperfectly, our devotions are Krishna, what we are offering Krishna, Krishna don't need any of these things. Krishna don't need our rice, dal, sabji, chapati, or whatever sweet we make, because they are not of high quality. Why? I may say I made with good quality, but the ingredients which we get in Kali Yuga, that too what we are getting, they're all made with chemicals, and they're not very sattvic also. Even though it is vegetables, fruits also, but it is not sattvic because it's all affected by mode of passion, transported by machines and this, that, very difficult. Now, why will Krishna take something made with these items? Krishna will not take it. Krishna will get something made by Radharani. Only person who can serve Krishna is Srimad Radharani only. Nobody is qualified to serve Krishna. Other forms of Lord, they are served. But Krishna's form, only Srimad Radharani. And anybody is able to do some service is by mercy of Srimad Radharani. Why we discussed also that where Krishna manifests, where there is maximum love. The highest, the appearance of Krishna is proportionate to the love a living entity has. In this material world, why people are not able to see Krishna? Because they don't have love for Krishna. As soon as you develop love for Krishna, you can see everywhere. It is said that, like, no, that Taramadde Ishtadeva Spurti, where he says, whatever I see Jada, Vastu, yeah, this Vastu, anything I see, but whichever direction I see, I am able to see Ishtadeva Spurti, the form which I like, I am seeing that. That means he is able to, if it becomes, he has that love for Krishna, he is able to see Krishna everywhere. And the maximum, the highest form manifested of Krishna is with Srimati Radharani, because she has the maximum love, right? She only can serve Krishna. Others, nobody is qualified to serve. And now what she does, she gives her devotion to little to others, so they also can render that service. But it is from Radharani. Now but we have them. We will not be able to give everything good for Krishna. But still, by mercy of Acharya, our Guru and Parampara, they will make this offering purified and they offer it to Krishna. That's why we need to chant the name of Guru when we are offering, because he makes it complete and give it to Krishna. And it ultimately goes through Radharani only. But still, we should do it. Why? Otherwise, it becomes unjust consciousness. This glorification of Lord is not a product of research, but is a result of hearing submissively from the authority of spiritual master. So it is not possible to repeat all of that we have heard from spiritual master, but one can narrate as far as possible by one's honest endeavor. We have to do that service of repeating to purify consciousness. It does not matter whether Lord's glories are fully explained or not. One must attempt to engage one's body, mental and verbal activities in the transcendental glorification of the Lord. Otherwise, such activities will remain unchaste and impure. And this is actually what is happening to all the people of this world. They are creating unlimited of misfortune for them because of not serving Krishna. they remain unchaste, they become impure. Now, the existence of conditioned souls can be purified only by the method of engaging one's mind and speech in the service of the Lord. So, the existence of conditioned soul can be purified. How? By engaging mind, speech. Now, it is the proper rights. The Tridandi Sannyasi Vaishnava school accepts three rods, representing the vow to engage in the service of Lord with body, mind, and speech. Whereas Ekadandi Sannyasis take the vow to become one with the Supreme. This is the problem. There is Tridandi Sannyasis. They want body, mind, and God to engage in service. Like this recently, Premanand Babaji is very famous in Vrindavan. He is also speaking Mayavadi only, unfortunately. Since the Lord is absolute, there is no distinction between him and his glories. The glories of Lord are chanted by Vaishnava sannyasis are of substantial as the Lord himself, and thus while glorifying the Lord, the devotee become one with him in transcendental interest. Although he remains eternally a transcendental servitor, this simultaneously one and different position of the devotee makes him eternally purified at the of his thus his life becomes complete success. एकान्तलाभं वचसोऽनुपुंसां शुश्लोकमौलिर्गुणवाद आहुः कृतेषु च विद्वद्भिरुपाकृतायां कथासुधायाम् उपसंप्रयोगम्. The highest perfectional gain of humanity is to engage in discussions of the activities and glories of the pious actor. Such activities are so nicely arranged in writing by greatly learned sages that the actual purpose of the ear is served just by being near them. This is also a nice point. It says that the impersonalists are very much afraid of hearing the activities of Lord because they think that the happiness derived from being transcendentally situated in Brahman is the ultimate goal of life, and they think that anyone's activity, even the personality of God, is mundane. This is the problem with them. Even such nice stories are there, they're afraid to hear. This is no, we are hearing some mundane news. But the idea of happiness indicated in this verse is different because it is related to the activities of Supreme Personality of Godhead who has transcendental qualities. The word Gunavad is significant because the qualities of Lord and his activities, the pastimes, are subject matter for discussion of devotees. And this is actually what should be done by everyone. They should not waste their time. Atmano vasito vasta mahima kavina samvatsara sahasrante divya yoga vikpaya. Oh my son, the original pride, Brahma, after mature meditation for 1000 celestial years, could know only that the glories of Supreme Lord are inconceivable. So after doing everything, Brahma says, yes, yes, it's difficult to understand. Prabhupada again is so upset with this. There are some foggish philosophers who want to know the Supreme Soul by means of philosophical mental speculation. And when the devotee, who are to some extent in knowledge of the Supreme Lord, admit that the glories of Lord are inestimable or inconceivable, the foggish philosopher criticize them. These philosophers, like the frog in the well, who try to estimate the measurement of Pacific Ocean, who like to take trouble over fruitless mental speculation instead of taking instructions from devotees like the original poet, namely Brahma. So it is simple. They're already done research. So why I should do again waste my time in doing research, right? Brahma did research. If we do again, you will get the same thing, but there is no chance that we get same realization of Brahma. Already somebody did. Say now we have mobile and laptop. Do we create our own mobile laptop? They already did research. They are selling. We are taking it and utilizing it properly in Krishna service, right? Similarly, there is already research done by Brahma, Vyasa Maharshi, and all these great sages about Lord. We need not separately waste our time in doing all this research. We just follow the research work. Just analyze how it is right. Is it logical? Whatever they are saying, if it is logical, fine. What is the problem? Why to do again research? We can just continue from whatever it is made. We utilize now. We don't do research with the mobile, right? We just continue utilizing properly. Similarly, whatever knowledge already given in the scriptures, that is a research work only. Lord Brahma underwent a severe type of meditation for 1000 celestial years to get this understanding. And after that, he says that the glories of Lord are inconceivable. Therefore, what can the foggish philosophers hope to gain from their mental speculations? It is said in Brahma Samhita, although the mental speculator may fly, so Panthan, yes, sorry, Pantas Koti Satavatsara, they cannot understand nothing. And Lord says, Mahatmanam Stumam Partha Daivim Prakriti Mashita, Bhajantananamaso Nyatma Bhutajmabhir. Satatam Kirtayantoham Yatantascha Dadabrataha Namasyantascha Mam Bhaktya Nityayukta Upasade. So it says that pure devotee of Lord take shelter of the Para Prakriti, the internal potency of Lord, called Lakshmi Devi, Sita Devi, Siddhiradhrani, Siddhirukmini Devi, and thus they become actual Mahatmas. This transcendental method practiced by the Mahatmas is only through the means of devotional service and no other way. One may go on speculating and waste their valuable time of human life, but that will not help anyone to enter into the uh, presence of the Lord. The Mahatmas, however, not concerned with knowledge the Lord by mental speculation because they enjoy hearing about His glories. So that is another advantage. Ato bhagavato maya mayinam api mohini yat swayam chatma vatma atma naveda kim utta pare. Thus, the wonderful potency of the Supreme Personality of God, it is bewildering even to the jugglers. That potent power is unknown even to the self-sufficient Lord. So it is certainly unknown to others. So Prabhupada is again chastising this. The foggish philosophers and mundane wranglers in science and mathematical calculations may not believe in the inconceivable potency of the Supreme Personality of God, but they are sometimes puzzled by the wonderful jugglery of man and nature. Such jugglery and magicians of mundane world are certainly puzzled by the jugglery of Lord in his transcendental activities, but they try to adjust their bewilderment by saying it is mythology. There is, however, nothing impossible or mythological in the supreme omnipotent person. The most wonderful puzzle for mundane wrangler is that while they remain calculating the length and breadth of the unlimited potency of the supreme person, his faithful devotees are seen set free from the bondage of mental engagement simply by approaching the wonderful uh, juggler of the supreme in particular field. So, practically. That means what? Like they are so much confused, but devotees they just go hear about the Lord free from all the suffering. The devotee of Lord see the wonderful dexterity in everything with which they come in contact with all the circumstances of eating, sleeping, working, etc. A small Balian fruit contains thousands of small seeds, and each seeds hold the potency of another tree, which again holds the potency of millions of such fruits as cause and effect. So, the tree and the seed engaged the devotees in meditation about the activities of Lord, while the mundane ranger waste time in speculations and mental concoctions, which are fruitless in both this life and next. यतो प्राप्य निवर्तन्त वाचश्च मनसा सह अहं चान्य इमे देवास् तस्मिन् भगवते नमः. Words, mind, and ego, with their respective controlling deities, have failed to achieve success in knowing the Supreme Personality of God. Therefore, we simply have to offer our respectful obeisances unto Him as a matter of sanity. This is the last book. Again, Prabhupada, how many times is just the foggish calculators may raise the objection that if the absolute is unknowable, even by the controlling deities of speech, mind, and ego, namely the Vedas, Brahma, Rudra, and other demigods. So the speech is controlled by Brahma, ego by Rudra, headed by Brihaspati, they control Vedas. Then why should a devotee be so interested in unknown object? The answer is that the transcendental ecstasy enjoyed by devotee in delineating the past tense of Lord is certainly unknown to non-devotees and mental speculation. Unless one relishes transcendental joy, naturally one will come back from his speculations and concocted conclusions, because he will see them as neither factual nor enjoyable. This is another important point Prabhupada is trying to make. Prabhupada said the only method for understanding Supreme is devotional service and Bhagavad. Bhaktyamam Jat. So Krishna is very clear. One who has followed in the footsteps of great sages and devotees like Maitreya, Vidura, Maharaj Parikshit, and Sukadeva Goswami, and engage in transcendental devotional service of the Lord, if he would if one would know him ultimate feature, which is above Brahman Paramatma. Thus in the Bhaktivedanta purport of third canto, 6th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Creation of Universal Form. Hare Krishna. Any questions, comments? I'll end here. Thank you all very much. Next chapter we'll start tomorrow. That's it. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.